When I took office, they said Burkina Faso would be buried under $12 trillion of debt for generations. But I told them we will not bow. We will rise. In just 2 years, we erased that debt. Not with loans, not with foreign help, but with the strength of our people, our land, and our will. Today, we walk with dignity. We are debt-free. And this is just the beginning of true African freedom.
Welcome to Talk of Africa 360, your source for insightful news, analysis, and thoughtful commentary. If you value informed perspectives and fact-based reporting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is based on reliable public sources and credible online information. It is intended strictly for educational and analytical purposes. We do not promote or endorse political violence, hate speech, or any form of discrimination. Our goal is to inform, not to inflame. Thanks for being here. Let's stay informed together.
To the proud people of Burkina Faso and to all of Africa, when I assumed office, our nation was drowning in debt, $12 trillion owed to foreign powers and institutions that profited while our people suffered. They told us it would take generations to repay. They said we must surrender our resources, our sovereignty, and even our future. But I told them no. In just 2 years, with the strength of our people, the wealth of our land, and the courage to stand firm, we have erased that debt without begging, without foreign aid, and without compromise. We took back control of our gold, our agriculture, and our trade. We invested in our own farmers, engineers, and youth. We cut waste, ended corruption, and redirected every franc toward rebuilding a self-reliant nation. This is more than numbers. This is freedom. Burkina Faso is no longer in chains. We are no longer puppets in a global game. We have proven that when a nation stands united, when it believes in itself, it can move mountains, crush debt, and create prosperity on its own terms. Let this serve as a warning to those who think Africa will always bow. And let it be a light to every African nation still trapped under debt. Liberation is possible. We are not just free from debt, we are free in spirit. And now, we will build not for creditors, but for our children. Burkina Faso has risen, and the world will never see us the same again.
Have you heard about this African country that paid off its $12 trillion debt? Well, buckle up, because the story behind how they accomplished this is absolutely mind-blowing. It all started when the new president came into power. It would take decades to do it the traditional way. But our determined president wasn't going to let that stop him. The impact was immediate. The economy began to grow at a rapid pace, and the people of the country were ecstatic. They had been freed from the burden of debt and could finally start planning for a brighter tomorrow. He took some unconventional measures and managed to secure some loans from international banks. And the man behind the miracle is the new president, Ibrahim Traoré. So what makes Burkina Faso so special? What has President Traoré done to turn this small African country into a shining example of success? Let's find out. With this money, he started to buy back the debt from the open market at a discount. Burkina Faso was facing a myriad of challenges, including a spiraling economy, a growing humanitarian crisis, and an ongoing battle against extremist groups. This declaration sent a strong message to the people of Burkina Faso and the international community that Traoré was not going to tolerate neocolonialism or foreign interference in his country. He also took a strong stance on international issues that affected the African continent. For example, he spoke out against the exploitation of African resources and called for a more equitable distribution of wealth. He also advocated for greater representation of African voices in international organizations and decision-making bodies. The country was heavily reliant on foreign aid and had a reputation for corruption and mismanagement. However, Traoré was not daunted by the challenges that lay ahead. What can be achieved when a leader prioritizes the welfare of their people and stands up for their rights and dignity? He introduced a series of measures to crack down on tax evasion and corruption, which had been rampant in Burkina Faso for years. He implemented policies to promote investment and entrepreneurship, which helped to create jobs and generate economic activity. Year after year, he made significant progress towards this goal. In 2023, the country's total external debt stood at just over 8 trillion francs, a staggering 33% reduction from the previous year. By growing the economy, Traoré was able to increase government revenue while also providing much-needed relief to ordinary citizens who were struggling to make ends meet. By closing loopholes and making it harder for wealthy individuals and businesses to evade their tax obligations, Traoré was able to boost government revenue and reduce the budget deficit. He worked to strengthen ties with Mali and Chad, to countries that were also grappling with similar challenges. Investors and creditors who had written off the country as a hopeless case suddenly took notice. It is a monumental achievement that has far-reaching implications for the country, the region, and the continent as a whole. It shows that it is possible to break free from the shackles of indebtedness and achieve financial independence. As more countries follow suit and clear their debts, it will pave the way for greater economic mobility and self-sufficiency across the continent. For years, the country had been burdened by a crippling debt that threatened to drag it down and prevent it from achieving its full potential. In the past, the country's heavy debt burden meant that it was highly dependent on foreign creditors and aid agencies. This dependence often came with strings attached, such as demands for policy changes or the implementation of austerity measures. As the country looks to the future, it has every reason to be optimistic. With a clean slate and a visionary leader, Burkina Faso is poised to become a shining example of economic recovery and sustainable growth. Now that Burkina Faso is debt-free, it is free to chart its own course and pursue the policies it believes are in the best interest of its people. Now, with a clean slate, Burkina Faso is poised to embark on a new era of growth and prosperity. When countries become debt-free, it contributes to global financial stability and reduces the risk of contagion. It also opens up new opportunities for investment and trade and promotes sustainable development. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more insightful content. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world around you. Traoré's story is a testament to the power of good governance, fiscal discipline, and a commitment to economic growth. Ratings agencies upgraded Burkina Faso's credit rating, opening up new possibilities for investment and economic growth. This staggering debt burden was a legacy of years of mismanagement and corruption, as well as a series of natural disasters that had crippled the economy. One of his first moves was to eliminate the country's costly subsidies on petroleum products, which had been draining the national treasury without providing much benefit to ordinary citizens. When he took office, the country was on the brink of bankruptcy and many doubted his ability to turn things around. However, through a combination of austerity measures, economic reforms, and a crackdown on corruption, President Traoré managed to steer the country to financial freedom. This achievement has cemented his status as a visionary leader and a champion of economic recovery. By ending these subsidies, Traoré was able to free up government funds that could be directed towards more productive uses, such as investment in infrastructure or education. Faced with this daunting challenge, Traoré knew that drastic action was needed. This collaboration allowed Burkina Faso to pool resources and work towards common goals, such as combating extremism and promoting sustainable development. He introduced policies to improve healthcare, education, and living standards, and he made it a point to consult with the people of Burkina Faso and listen to their concerns. This approach was a refreshing change from the top-down governance that had been the norm in the country for years. He had a clear vision for the country and was determined to make it a reality. Today we're taking you on a journey to a small landlocked country in West Africa. Burkina Faso, known as the land of the incorruptibles, has a rich history and cultural heritage. But despite its beauty and potential, the country has faced numerous challenges over the years, including poverty, corruption, and political instability. However, in recent times, Burkina Faso has been making headlines for all the right reasons. It was a risky move, but it paid off big time. He was able to save billions of dollars in interest payments and eventually paid off the entire debt in just 2 years. He was determined to transform his country, but he knew that to do so, he had to tackle the massive debt crisis first. The debt was strangling the economy and preventing them from making any progress. But he had a brilliant strategy up his sleeve. He was going to pay off the entire debt in one fell swoop. Everyone thought he was crazy, but he didn't care. He was determined to make it happen no matter the cost, but there was one problem. The country didn't have nearly enough money to pay off the debt. The country was finally free from the shackles of debt and could start focusing on building a better future. So which country is this incredible feat? The answer may surprise you. It's Burkina Faso. If you want to know more about Burkina Faso and how this amazing country is becoming a shining example of success, then keep watching this video. Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the most interesting and inspiring stories from around the world. Under the leadership of their charismatic president, Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso has become a beacon of hope for other African countries striving for change. When Ibrahim Traoré assumed office in September 2022, he inherited a country on the brink of collapse. One of his first acts as president was to declare that Burkina Faso would be run according to the principles of Pan-Africanism, a philosophy that promotes unity, solidarity and self-determination among people of African descent. Traoré's commitment to Pan-Africanism was evident in his decision to prioritize the welfare of his people. As part of his efforts to promote unity and solidarity, Traoré reached out to neighboring countries and regional organizations. However, Traoré's commitment to Pan-Africanism was not limited to his domestic and regional policies. Despite the challenges that still remain, Ibrahim Traoré's commitment to Pan-Africanism is a beacon of hope for the people of Burkina Faso and a shining example of. Now let's dive deeper into how Burkina Faso became debt-free under President Ibrahim Traoré. When Traoré took office, the country's total external debt stood at over 12 trillion francs, equivalent to roughly $12 billion. He embarked on a series of sweeping reforms aimed at reducing government spending and increasing revenue. In addition to reducing government spending, Traoré also focused on increasing revenue. Another key aspect of Traoré's debt reduction strategy was his focus on economic growth. Despite the challenges, Traoré remained committed to his goal of reducing Burkina Faso's debt burden. The news of Burkina Faso's debt reduction sent shockwaves through the international community. Today, Burkina Faso is seen as a model for other African countries struggling under the weight of debt. Now let's talk about the significance of Burkina Faso becoming debt-free. The significance of Burkina Faso becoming debt-free under President Ibrahim Traoré cannot be overstated. Firstly, becoming debt-free has given Burkina Faso a new lease on life. Secondly, Burkina Faso's debt clearance is a major victory for President Ibrahim Traoré and his administration. Thirdly, Burkina Faso's debt clearance sends a powerful message to other African countries struggling with debt. Fourthly, becoming debt-free has given Burkina Faso greater control over its own destiny. Finally, Burkina Faso's debt clearance is a cause for celebration not just for the country but for the entire international community. In conclusion, Burkina Faso's journey to becoming debt-free is nothing short of remarkable. It is a story of resilience, determination and good governance. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and inspiration.
As reactions continue to pour in from across the continent, one thing is clear. Africa is demanding respect, sovereignty, and accountability. Was this just a diplomatic misstep or a deeper sign of shifting global alliances? We'll be watching closely. If you found this story important, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered African news. This is Talk of Africa 360, telling the stories that matter.